From the Gospel of John in the 16th chapter. As you see, and it's not a misprint. I know we're used to the lost and found department, but I actually want to talk about the lost and found department today. John chapter 16. Sometimes we wonder, why doesn't God fill us in? If He knows everything, why doesn't He give us a heads up? Why do we have to go through each day not knowing and so much uncertainty? Especially when we get to times of when it doesn't go so well. It's like, man, if I'd have known, I wouldn't have gone that way, I'd have gone a different way. But here's what Jesus says in His words from John chapter 16, beginning to read at verse 12. He says, I have much more to say to you. And He just finished sharing with the disciples about Him leaving, the Holy Spirit coming. And says, I have much more to share with you, more than you can now bear. But when He, the Spirit of truth, comes, He will guide you into all truth. He will not speak of His own. He will speak only what He hears, and He will tell you what is yet to come. He will bring glory to me by taking from what is mine and making it known to you. For all that belongs to the Father is mine. And that is why I said in the Spirit will take from what is mine and make it known to you. I'm going to jump down to verse 20. And it says, I tell you the truth, you will weep and mourn while the world rejoices. You will grieve, but your grief will turn to joy. And then in verse 22, so with you. Now it is your time of grief, but I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy. God did not design us to endure loss. It wasn't in the grand scheme that He had. Adam and Eve, as well as their children, were supposed to live forever in the Garden of Eden. He made that perfect. But that all changed when Adam and Eve sinned. Everything became difficult. And a loss became the new normal as a part of life. There was the loss of innocence. There was the loss of the perfect fellowship with God. And there was the loss of life. And since Adam and Eve were not designed for loss, grief became part of the human experience. We're all acquainted with loss because it exists in so many forms. When we were really young children, we may have lost a grandparent or a great-grandparent, but probably have a better memory of losing a tooth, by which we try to soothe that in the loss by leaving $1 underneath the pillow in exchange for the tooth. I don't know if you ever had the unfortunate incident with that, but I did one time. I thought, I'm going to say it was one of my girls was asleep. So I'm sneaking quietly into the bedroom, and I sneak over to the pillow, and I've got the $1, because they didn't have loonies in those days, that's how old it was. And I go to get the pillow, and I go to get the tooth. And just as I pull the tooth out and start to get the $1, she wakes up. Dad, what are you doing? You're taking my tooth, I won't get any money. Sorry. So I waited a little longer thereafter so I wouldn't get caught. We get a little older, we may lose a friend. Because we live in such a mobile society. People are moving often, and a friend may move away. And we try to soothe that element with telling the child, well, you'll make a lot more friends. While that statement is true, it really doesn't help the pain of the moment one little bit. For those who grew up playing sports, we know what it's like to lose. You love to win, but nobody wins all the time. Losing is just part of the sport. We used to play table games. I would love to ask all of my kids except Jennifer. Because Jennifer always only wanted to play Monopoly. And you can't play that unless you got 2 or 3 hours. It's like, oh man. But sometimes, you just kind of had to. But I would always share with my kids, I said, when I play table games with you guys, I always win. You go, what? How did Daddy always win, Dad? I said, I always win when I get a chance to play table games with you because I get to spend time with you while I'm doing that, so I win. As we move through life, we can lose maybe our jobs. We can maybe lose our home. We lose more family members to death. We start getting older, and then we start to lose our health. We can lose a loss of a sense, and mostly I think that's hearing. Some may lose a limb. Some may lose the ability to walk or to get around. And getting from A to B in those spots, we maybe through rebellion can lose a relationship with a child. Some through a myriad of experiences may lose their marriage. Some through misunderstandings may lose family relationships. Some through desperation and poor choices may lose their freedom. Some mothers, because Angie and I have it with both of them, mothers lose their babies during miscarriage. And on the list of loss can go. Even in Scripture, Matthew 16, verse 26 tells us, what good will it do if a man gains the whole world but loses his soul? Because of sin, we suffer loss through various stages. And with each loss, it hurts. It's painful. And at times we can feel very alone. We can feel like a failure. And the pain from all those losses is very, very real. Unfortunately, I can talk about a lot of these from personal experience. So with that, if we were to just stop now, it's like, wow, this is pretty doom and gloom. Oh, here we are. But part of the brilliance of the cross that Jesus died on was the fact that not only did Jesus give himself to redeem us, but to redeem our loss that we all suffer as well. In the middle of your trials, God is willing and able to redeem your worst loss and pain. Listen to David's words from Psalm 139, verses 13 and 14. He said, you created me, my inmost being. So he knows the thoughts that go on that as we walk by and we smile and we say hi, we don't know of that, but God does because he created that inmost being. He said, you knit me together in my mother's womb. So I praise you then, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. I saw a video this past week about a homeless man who had lost his job as a trucker. And another man who pretended also to be homeless and in need approached this trucker and asked him if he had any food to share and any money as well. And so when he asked him if he has any food, the trucker says, well, how long has it been since you ate? He said, I don't know, a couple of days or so. And the trucker's taken back by that. So he has a little brown bag that we used to take our lunch in, and he opens it up and he offers it to this other guy thinking he hasn't eaten, even though he has nothing. And the guy said, well, is this all you have? And he said, yeah, but I'll share it with you. You know, somehow I'll get some more eventually. And so he takes the food, he looks at it, takes it out, and sees a sandwich in there. And he said, you wouldn't by chance have any money either, would you? The trucker goes on to share how he lost his license as a trucker. He had gotten tickets. He had been living with his brother, moved out on his own, but didn't update the address right off, and all the tickets went to the brother, and they weren't his, so he didn't forward them. And so they suspended his license, and he lost his license. He couldn't drive anymore. Didn't have the ability to make money to pay things, and so he lost everything and became homeless. He said, I've been trying to save up because I have to go through tests and other things to get my license back. It's going to cost me $650. He said, I've been out collecting bottles and empty recyclable things. And he said, I've been 2 or 3 months and I've gotten $80 so far, but he said, I'm going to be a long time before I get to $650. So if you need some money here, I've got $80. Take what you need to go help yourself. Well, the guy was taken back by this. He said, you have nothing, and you're going to give me your food? You have nothing, and you're going to let me take some of your money? He said, well, I've been once getting $80. I'll be a long time getting $650. So if you need something, just go ahead and take what you need to help you. The guy again was so thankful. He said, I need to go for a little bit. I'll be back in about a half an hour. Will you still be right here? And the trucker said, yeah, I just kind of hang out on this spot for the day. I'll be here. The other guy, pretending to be homeless, leaves. He's not homeless. In fact, he's quite well-to-do. And so he goes to the bank and gets $700. and returns back to the homeless trucker. When he comes back to the trucker and he is still there, he confesses. He said, I'm sorry. He said, I'm not who I pretended to be with you. He said, I'm not homeless. But yet you in your state were willing to share what little bit of food you had and what little bit of money you were willing to share that. And because of that, he said, and he hauls in his pocket, hauls up this envelope, and opens up in a fan 7 $100 bills. And he said, here is $700. Take this, go get your license so you can start driving truck again. And the man's totally flabbergasted. He's totally overwhelmed. He can't believe that this is really happening. But in the midst of him having nothing, he was still generous with what he had. Sometimes we may feel like with our losses, we don't necessarily have a whole lot that we could give. And while we can't control life and what happens to us, we can control how we respond to what happens to us in our life. And as we love God and love others, we will serve the world to show our response of thankfulness to God. And we never know what kind of ripple effect that has on others. When in our brokenness, we can show God's love. In 1741, George Frederick Handel wrote Messiah, one of the finest and most inspiring pieces of music ever composed. And in the time leading up to his greatest accomplishment, his health and fortunes had reached an all-time low. His right side had become paralyzed because of a stroke, and his money to try to get through that physically was totally gone. He was heavily in debt. He was even threatened with imprisonment, and so he was very much tempted to give up the fight. And I can't help but wonder if Handel would have chosen a different path had he known this was coming his way. Stroke, paralysis, no money, debt, imprisonment. Don't think I'd go that way if I knew there was another option, right? I wonder. And I can't help but think if he had known ahead of time of the suffering he would have endured, he would have chosen another path. Had that happened, the world would have missed out on the blessing of one of the most renowned and beautiful compositions of praise ever. You know, it may not seem fair to us to just be on a need-to-know basis with God, because we know He knows every event in our lives. But you see, Jesus, as He knows our future, knows what's going to happen to us. But He knows the purpose that He has for you in life. He knows exactly what everyone around you is going to do and will do, and He knows how those actions will affect you. He knows everything you'll ever learn and infinitely more. He knows everything you will ever see and infinitely more. He knows how much information you can handle and when you can handle it. And for that reason, He filters information about you and packages out to you at strategic times when you need to know it. You see, while we can't always know ahead of time the things that will take place in our lives, we can be confident that God is using every event to prepare you for and to move you toward His purpose. We can have the assurance of this by the promises given in His Word. In 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 7, it encourages us to cast all of our anxieties on Him because He cares for us. All's pretty inclusive. But we can give it all to Him because He cares for us. Team, if you'll come back up. In Matthew chapter 11, in verses 28 to 30, Jesus shares these words. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Years ago, I learned what a yoke was. It's a big wooden structure that's heavily mounted across the top. And it has 2 waves of wood that come underneath. And I had that opportunity to stand beside 2 2,200-pound oxen. And he put them on them. And then he said, go over and stand by them and I'll take your picture. Not happening. I'm afraid of a little chihuahua. I'm not standing over. He said, they can't do anything. You're okay. So I stood about from here to the wall away and he said, come on. And I kept sliding over. He said, you got to understand what a yoke is. With a yoke, those ox can't move out of position anymore. So as I stood beside them, you see, they couldn't yank over and hit me, because if they did, they'd send me flying feet in the air. That's why I didn't want to get close. He said, well, they're in the yoke. They can't do that. They stop each other. He said, all they can do is move forward. And when they move forward together, they have more strength. So as we yoke ourselves to Jesus, you see, we then have to go in the same direction and the same path that Jesus is going in. And when we do that and go with Him, there's more strength because we're going in His strength, not merely on our own that runs down so quickly. And being that close to Jesus, if we're yoked with Him, we can see how He does things and we can learn from Him. We also have His strength so we can relax and rest. See, yoked with Him means we can't stray from Him. We're connected. We can't get away. And so when He rests, we have to rest because we can't push Him in that yoke. And when He stops so that we can rest, He is so humble, He won't yank us along. He won't lead us in a direction that's foreign to us. We will go and walk with Him because we're yoked with Him. And He will gently lead us so that while we feel like we might be in a loss right now, if we're yoked with Him, we're resting with Him, His strength is there with Him. He's not agitated. He's not impatient. He's not in a hurry. So if we're yoked with Him, if that's how He is, follow His example and be just like Him. Lord, I can't see where this is going. I don't understand what this is all about. But if we're yoked with Him and He's right there, He will be with us. He will provide that rest for us. He will gently lead us and keep us and give us the restoration of our souls and restore strength through our losses. What a mighty God we serve.